What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog, author of Smartphone Millionaire: How to Invest in People, Real Estate, and Businesses for the Palm of Your Hand. Today, I've got a really special guest on, you guys. This is one half of Charm City Buyers. You know, I always do that. This is the other half of Charm City Buyers. This is Kyara. Introduce yourself, Kyara, for the audience.
Yes, so I'm Kyara from Charm City Buyers here in Baltimore, Maryland. Super excited to be back on with the Classy Climbers.
So everybody, last night Todd Millie had brought up the fact that Kyara and her husband are so young. He was like, they're under 28 or something. And I was laughing because y'all are right about there, but that you guys did get started young. And I think that's such a powerful story for so many people out there. Like, well, Eric, I'm young, I don't have any money or I don't have any focus. Because we had Money Mandu on before Todd Millie came on. He was like, he's 28.
Yeah.
And he has friends who are investing in nothing.
Yes.
And they're like, man, what are you doing so much? So what age group did you and your husband get started?
Yeah, so we got started at 22 and 23. So our first property, we bought our first property, I was a year out of college. And that was the three family shell, about a year out of college. And just kind of kept it rocking from there. And so now I'm not under 28, I am 29. I'll be joining the 30 crew next year. But that's part of why 2019 is going to be so lit. But yeah, we started really, really early on. And we did that by, I had a roommate, Chloe moved back in with his parents, like stuff like that, where we're able to take that corporate job that we both had and let our 9 to 5 fund our 5 to 9, and just kept funneling funds into, projects in real estate and just kept building from there.
So right now, I would say, well, everybody, as you know, what we do when we come here, we hit the like button. We also drop our city and state. They are in Baltimore, Maryland. You guys know all my stories from when I stayed in Maryland for almost 8 months. Interesting cities up there in Maryland. Now, some people talk about, let's get this money. Somebody said from Philly.
I'm from originally, so my husband's from Baltimore. I'm from outside of Philadelphia. I'm from PA originally. So
look at you. The secrets keep coming. So we have some cousins who are near Philly. That's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that another day. But the funny thing is, what's got me on this, I love bringing people on the show and talking, is because you're finding out whole other perspectives from people, right? Like, what is their take on the city and what's their take on investing? As I've talked about in the last couple of shows, there's some people kind of knocking certain cities and knocking certain areas. Cough, cough. But you guys have how many properties now in the Baltimore region?
Yeah, so we have 20 rental units, and then we have 7 active renovation projects right now.
Right now,
a lot going on.
Y'all see that board behind her? You can't see all the writing, but we know.
I make sure it was a little bit blurred, a little bit.
So I mean, this is the lady to get to know for the information. So we got a lot of, somebody put questions. Delaware County. Where's Delaware County?
Delaware County. So I'm originally from Chester County.
Oh, okay. We're going counties.
So yeah, they out here trying to test my Pennsylvania knowledge. But yeah, I'm from Chester County originally.
Okay, people. Somebody said money is green. Don't matter. Invest in where.
Absolutely. And I think what people forget a lot of times when you talk about Baltimore, the first thing folks think about is The Wire, or all of the stuff that might be on the news. But what's so crazy is that what they miss is there's properties that we've bought and renovated and was all in for 40 grand and then rented it out for $1,100 a month. Right. So you talk about a lot of these different cities that have a ton of opportunity, and a lot of them do. What's really interesting about Baltimore is, be it right or be it wrong, the rental rates are very high and the property values are relatively low. Now that's changed and continued to morph over the last couple of years, but the same is true. So as much as people kind of side-eye Baltimore because they watch too much TV, when you're out here on the ground, you understand really what's going on.
So the funny thing is, you guys, like, my mom was stationed in Fort Meade, Maryland, and I would drive up from North Carolina, I would do all this stuff. And then I ended up staying up there to help her some recovery from Walter Reed. And the traffic in Arundel Mule, how do I say it?
You're messing me up by the way you said it. Anne Arundel.
Anne Arundel. Listen,
Yeah,
you guys, you know I got some country talk.
yeah.
So, but I was up there and I was like, we drove somewhere else in Maryland and we were going 7 miles and it took us an hour. I was like, done. I'm done with Maryland.
Yeah,
No more.
95 can get you sometimes.
So okay, I see. Goodness, I see y'all out here. I see you. Okay, we got 20 units, y'all. Yes, 20 units. So we got some Texas in the building. We got New Orleans, New York City, Phoenix, Arizona, California, Florida, Houston, Irvine, New Jersey, Irvington, New Jersey. I apologize. Newark, New Jersey, California, land of the lost. Oh, I'm sorry. Jackson, Tennessee. Money is green. Somebody said they're Washington, D.C. Nice. Shout out to SEPTA. I don't know what that means. Harlem, Baltimore, Colorado. Okay, so look, you guys, make sure you guys are hitting the like button and make sure you put your questions in so that we can get all the questions we can get in for this hour. So look, I had the others on the show. What are some things you are great? Now we got to do a humble brag and a grateful for. So it's like two sides of the coin. So what are you grateful for this year and looking forward to next year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and then have all the real estate stuff on top. So for me, I'm grateful for just the opportunity to continue to expose my daughter to a lot of new things. One of her really exciting moments from the year was she kept begging me to let her do a lemonade stand. She's like 4 years old and want to do her lemonade stand. So that's something that, we take a lot of pride in, is being able to not only expose her to different things, but also other young people in Baltimore. So we've done some really dope stuff here in Baltimore, where we even brought, we had almost 50 kids tour the block that we're renovating right now. Because we bought the block in Baltimore and we're able to bring out a bunch of high school kids and just expose them to something different and, give them the opportunity to see people who look like them, look like they're not that much older, but still doing some really dope things in the community. So those are just a few things that I'm grateful for in 2018, is just the opportunity to inspire and motivate others through our story and our journey.
Oh, for sure. Listen, y'all, when y'all meet her and her husband in person, Black don't crack. They look 24. You'd be like, who is these young people talking to us? You better get on out of here. I'm making notes and I'm going to come back to something. But what's your humble brag for this? Brag. You gotta brag on yourself. Don't.
I mean, but let's be honest, right? So we are 29 and 30 and own a block. At one point, in this year, there were some properties in the neighborhood where we own that were coming up, and they were trying to figure out what to do with it. And we were being contacted by the city, by the lender that was foreclosing on the owner, and the owner to buy the houses. And so, when you start to get in situations where the city becomes your partner in deals and, you're in some really crazy rooms, we're having just really mind-blowing conversations about what's coming and what's happening in Baltimore. And that is absolutely by humble brag, right? Is that we not only created our own table, but we also have a seat at everyone else's. And, for us, that's major.
I like that. I like that. So there's a few notes I wanted to because a lot of people say, well, Erica, the city doesn't want you investing over there, the taxes, the people, they come up with a lot of excuses, but there is a lot of, I had Esther on from California, and her whole thing was going through websites, different cities and counties, and looking at their economic development plan. So this was like, she came on the show 2 years ago talking about their cities. She built 3 properties in St. Louis, and the contingents on her getting it almost free from the city was letting this nonprofit let these teenagers do some of the work. Now, most people are like, oh, I'm ready to get in the property and do what I want. Like, how hard is it for you to let a couple teenagers learn a few skills, a few weekends in the property, right? So there's a lot of opportunity depending on the city to work in it. And have you found Baltimore or that area to be like, we're trying to revitalize, or what are some of the things you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's absolutely a huge push for revitalization by the city, and there's tons of commercial developers here in the city pushing that agenda right next with them, like right side by side. And those are some of the meetings and conversations that we're a part of, which is really, really dope. And to your point, I mean, I think that it's really important that as people are looking to grow and scale and thinking about having, buying blocks or really changing communities, you have to understand what the priorities of the city are. You have to understand what's in, those 150-page documents. In there are some gems on giving you the pathway to success, because you have to be able to speak the language of that community or of that city. So we're on boards of nonprofits. We're like involved in projects where the city's putting together, $20 million to go towards investing in the city and providing whether affordable housing or redevelopment and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's 100% true. If you understand what the priorities of the city is and the housing, board of the city or the mayor or city council or whatever. We were at the city council building last week. So you definitely need to be plugged in. We don't put everything on IG, but you got to be plugged into what's going on in the city for sure.
Todd Millie in the comments talking about that's a bar. Game changer, building a table and getting a seat at it flames. He's hilarious. I'm going to read y'all comments. Just give me a second. So here's the funny thing. United Way, this is something all y'all can check out. United Way has a program called Multicultural Leadership Development Program. And essentially this program is like 8 or 9 weeks last time I took it. So long story short, it was prepping people to be on boards. And because you have all type of boards in a city, and what people don't understand is there's so much going on behind the scenes that make your city what's going on with your city currently. There's so many people planning and different things happening. And if you're not prepared to get into some of the action, right? Because some people are like, well, Eric, I can't run for city council. I can't do this. I can't do that. There are several nonprofit boards and city related boards who, let's just be honest, the way they described the program, and this is like 7 years ago, was you have a lot of elderly white people who are on these boards and they're eventually going to go sit down. So you need people from the community to come in and step in those places, whether they're business owners or different things. But United Way still does that program. I don't know if it's nationwide. I just know it was really big by Fort Bragg because we had so many military people. So yeah, I just have not, like when Austin came around asking for people to get in boards about 3 years ago, I went up for a round and didn't make it, but I knew what was going on. Austin was just blowing up. So I'd have to go to like one of these smaller towns next over to get on a board, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of times the way that what you learn as you scale and grow and get more involved in the business and take yourself from being an investor to being a developer is that a lot of the ways that money flows within a city or a municipality comes through different nonprofits or these, the big commercial developers a lot of times are partnering with nonprofits to help give access to funds and all that good stuff. So and nonprofits are great, right? Being able to do things and engage with the community is always good as well as you're trying to develop. But there's levels to this, right? Yeah. And there's some really strategic processes that you want to take and put yourself in positions where you can really, level up. So,
the Urban League is meeting tonight, and I'm like, I don't feel like going, but I'm gonna put this dress on. I'm gonna go because you just never know.
But it's like Urban League and those types of organizations, even just your general community association meetings, like even at that level, there's conversations happening because you can't develop a neighborhood without getting sign off from the community association or the neighborhood association. So you got to be plugged in. You have to educate yourself. Nita always says you educate and then you activate. I love when she puts that out there because it's so true. If you're not educating yourself, how can you effectively take action?
Yes, cousin Nita. Y'all not gonna come for me today. Y'all not gonna come for me. Like prime example, I would say just being aware of what's going on in your city. Like prime example, here in Austin, Apple's coming. But if somebody would have asked me a week ago, I could have told you that because we've already seen the high school on the street it's coming put $7 million construction into this high school all of a sudden, right? We've already seen hotels and other commercial buildings built in this one spot where everybody's like, there's nothing over there. Why are they building? well, I could have told you a week ago we knew Apple was coming, right?
Right. And we
But a
always say
lot of
here
people,
in
yeah.
Baltimore, like the city's been bought and paid for the next 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah,
Everyone's just trying to figure it out now. All those documents, all those plans have already been, signed off on 5 years ago for the redevelopment that's happening up the block from you. So you have to understand, if you're in part of the conversations and plugged in and paying attention, you know what's coming before it actually happens. And that's what happens to a lot of people when they're talking about gentrification and things happening in their neighborhoods. And they feel like, wow, like what happened? I blinked in DC and the chocolate city ain't chocolate no more. Like, you didn't blink, right? That stuff was in motion for years, right? That was plans that have been approved for years. It was just, we weren't at the table to understand and hear what was happening so we could adjust and, make sure that we were positioning ourselves for success. And that's why we try to talk about like opportunity zones and all that kind of stuff, because we want people to be positioned well for success.
Exactly. So my thing is, the reason I was bringing on about the boards is, if you're not even there, by the time the ripple comes to you, you're looking at a whole different, like, oh, what happened? And you're just delayed. Sorry, my camera's not zoning in. You're just delayed in getting the information. Like Charles Ogilvie said, he wants to buy the block next to y'all block.
Come on.
I mean, what are some signs? Like, I can tell you some signs here in Texas, but what are some signs a neighborhood is getting ready to change in Baltimore?
Yeah. So what's really interesting about Baltimore, so anyone that knows anything about Baltimore, is that Baltimore is very block to block, right? So historically, there's a lot of historic reasons why that is. When you talk about the black butterfly and the white L and all these other terminology around the history around redlining and all that good stuff, right? Or maybe not so good stuff. But it gives you a blueprint for where Baltimore has been that helps to inform where it's going. So there's all the hospitals, there's different grant programs like Live Near Where You Work, which gives people funding at these schools or different, at hospitals or different businesses to help really incite people to invest near those areas. So if you're thinking about Johns Hopkins, right? Around Johns Hopkins, there's up to $17,000. I think is the max now where folks are getting money to buy in those neighborhoods, right? So you follow the different policies and things that are put together to understand like what's coming up next. And then you also just kind of inform yourself, right? So for us, when we bought our first property in Baltimore, when we moved back down here, we bought a house that was in between this neighborhood called Patterson Park and Johns Hopkins Hospital. And we did that because we're like, it's only a few blocks from the park. The park had a ton of buzz around it. Everyone was excited. Everything's being renovated. And Johns Hopkins was buying up a ton of properties. And we knew that at some point they were going to continue to grow the kind of those couple blocks that were good, right? They were going to begin to expand, and ours was right in the middle. So as a result, we bought that house for $26,000. Houses over there, we bought it in 2013. Houses over there now are selling for up to $170. Bought it for $26. Yes. Now it's worth like $170, right?
Stacks.
Yes, exactly. And you just kind of follow what's happening in the city and where the city is focusing their dollars.
So there's kind of two schools of thought, right? Paula Pant and a couple other people, they have a triangle. They'll do a map and they'll do a triangle. Like, we want to buy everything in this triangle. I feel like it sounds like you're saying you guys bought everything on your street. You just were like, boom, boom, house to house, or just in that block.
Yeah, so we have a lot of properties, right? So the rental properties that we have are all over the city.
Right.
They're all over the city. The block that we have is physically on one block, right? So we have properties all one next to each other, all the vacant houses on a block in Baltimore right next door to each other. We have the odd side. We have some on the even, but we own the odd side for that project specifically. So when we say we bought a block, like we literally mean all the vacant houses on a specific block in Baltimore we own.
For sure. I like that. I just want to make that clear because everybody's like, did they buy? I'm like, yes, they bought a block.
We bought that block. When we show you a picture of the street, like that's our street.
Well, and I think people complain about, well, that whole street's a bunch of renters. Yeah. And I'd rather you be in control of controlling that whole street than others. Like, even a prime example, I I hate to bring them up, but I'm gonna have to. On Bigger Pockets, someone was saying, "Oh, them and their friend tried to buy in a low income neighborhood, and it was like they were the only two houses that were cleaned up." And someone in the comments, who I wish I could high five them, was like, "Why didn't y'all buy more houses on the block? Like, instead of complaining about it, buy more houses on the block, clean that block up." Make sure you guys hit that like button. It's like 105 of y'all in here. Y'all be coming in and out. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I'm gonna go over some of the stuff they are saying. Some people are saying follow the money. Hold on, let me scroll up. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I see y'all. Okay, hold on. Oh, what's up, Indianapolis? What's up, Greenville, South Carolina? I see you guys. Jeremy Walker's hilarious. He's like, "Oh, want the block also, Todd." Kyara, what's up? I grew up, okay, Ancestral Goddess Wisdom said, "I grew up in the ghetto where homes are now 1 million plus."
Yeah. And just think, if we had just, if y'all had, your family or whatever had bought one, or, that's how stuff happens. That's how you create generational wealth, like to invest in these neighborhoods that have the opportunity and have kind of the makeup of a great space, and invest in it and build the space that you want to see, right? When we bought the block, we went to the community association meeting, like, what do y'all need? What are you guys looking for? How can we help support that neighborhood and the people in it to continue to grow? As, obviously, we're looking to increase in our equity, and, property values increase as well, but we can all move up together as a unit.
Well, what's funny is you're going to care more about your street aesthetics than other people or outsiders will. Like, I saw this guy change this vacant lot to, like, he got it zoned to like a park, and all he did is put like a few little items in there. But I'm like, who would have thought of that? Somebody from the outside would be like, "I'm just going to build another house where that other house burnt down." This guy, because it was a huge corner lot, turned it into a park, got it zoned, right? And the city actually installed the stuff. And you can control how your street looks if you want. Ben the bartenders put, "If there was an opportunity in the hood, why would people be angry when it gets gentrified? We can be a part of that gentrification." Yes.
Yeah, gentrification doesn't have to be a bad word, right? So there's positive and negatives to everything, and I think the challenge is with gentrification is people getting pushed out. And how are they getting pushed out? By the increase in taxes, because property values are increasing if they're owners, or rents increasing. And so having the ability to make sure that the folks who are renting, that we're encouraging them to not rent for 60 years at one house, right? You done bought that house 17 times now, right? Yes. So how do we transition renters into owners in these same neighborhoods? And then how are we protecting those who are in these neighborhoods so that as property values rise, they're not negatively impacted? So one thing that we do when we're doing block projects like this is we'll reach out to homeowners who are already there and tell them about different programs where they can keep their taxes low. So they're not jumping from paying $500 a year in taxes to $4,000 a year in taxes because we raise their property values. So there are different programs. It's called the Homestead Tax Credit for anyone who may not be familiar with it. And it's all over the country. So there's those types of programs, and it's educating, right? So we'll take the time to educate. We'll literally post things on doors to say, hey, we're here, we're in this neighborhood, but here's this program that you should be looking into to help, stabilize your taxes so that you can continue to afford to live here, right? And you can ride the wave. We purposely did not market and try to buy from owners who were in that neighborhood. We bought all the vacant houses, right? Yeah. And then we taught them how to make sure that their taxes aren't going to increase, and then worked with them because a few of them are now renovating their homes because ours are renovating so that they can kind of keep up and capitalize on the change that's coming in the neighborhood. So you can because otherwise we would be gentrifying the neighborhood. We bought a block of vacants, we're renovating them, we're raising property values. We can buy them for, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and they'll be worth well over $200,000. That's a big jump. And when you're doing it at that level, and other investors coming in and doing other neighborhoods really close by, that is gentrifying the neighborhood. But it's how you do things, right? And what your intentions are and how you protect the community and how you interact with businesses who are already there. We're really close with, there's a coffee shop up the street that we built a relationship with. It's how you do things that makes you a community developer rather than coming in and throwing things around.
Wait, real quick. Everybody unblock Khalil. Khalil's her husband, y'all. I mean, he was saying I love you and stuff in the comments. Like, no, that's her husband, y'all. He's straight.
What up, babe?
I mean, sometimes we get people who are thirsty. So the moderators, y'all are doing a good job. But I'm like, wait a minute, that's her husband. That's her husband, y'all. He's straight. Unblock him.
I saw you giggling. I wasn't sure what was going on.
I'm so sorry. I was like, didn't want to bust out on laughing. But okay, look, we gotta stay focused. Khalil is her husband, y'all. Please don't block him. Okay. How close is Bmore to DC?
You can get from Baltimore to DC in less than an hour. You gotta watch the traffic, but yeah, DC's not far.
So people are like, excellent.
You can take a train for 20 minutes now. You can take a train from DC to Baltimore in like 20 minutes, which is why a lot of DC folks are moving to Baltimore and commuting because property values and rents are so much less and can't afford to live in DC.
Okay, listen, somebody said this content is fire. If it's fire, throw a 1 in the comments. And there's 120 of y'all in here. Let's hit that like button. Throw me a 1 in the comments if this conversation is hitting for y'all. Rename that street is what people are saying. And then Khalil put Charm City. Y'all should do it for real.
You'll see. We'll see what happens.
Todd says buy more houses on the block. Rent is guaranteed.
Tell Todd when's he bringing Todd Capital to Baltimore? He won't be all up in the comments. Come on to Baltimore.
All up in the video dancing. Let me see. Oh, somebody's from Kuwait. What's up, Don Bryant? Thank you for joining us from Kuwait.
Yes, thanks for joining.
Let's see. St. Petersburg, Florida in the video. Responsible gentrification. Yes, they are doing responsible gentrification. Yeah. Garcia Simpson said, "Can you be my mentor?" I think they have the Next Gen program.
We do.
I know. Why'd y'all do him like that? That's still funny. Let's see. What else? Homestead tax. Yeah, we have that here in Texas too. Mm-hmm. She said there's work to be done in Indiana. That's true.
Yeah, I think we posted something the other day about Gary and just some investment stuff that's going on in Gary.
So Don, one of the people in the comments said Baltimore is not cheap. Now I'm pretty sure, and there's 123 y'all here. Make sure y'all hitting those like buttons. Mm-hmm. Did it used to be cheaper? I mean, because every time somebody says cheap, Todd Millie lives in California, so everywhere else is cheap. I'm in Texas, so everything in North Carolina to me is 1/3 the price, and it's fabulous. Right. So what was Baltimore prices? Maybe I guess 5 years ago. I don't know.
So, you tell me. Yeah, like 5 years. I mean, so Baltimore is definitely changing. We've been saying it for a while, right? We bought that house 5 years ago, and bought it for 26 and can sell it right now for 170, right? So things are absolutely changing. There's still pockets of Baltimore that have that still have room to grow, where you're not going to find $10,000 to $15,000 houses as often now as you did 10 years ago. And I think that's what's switching up. And when you think about Cleveland and Detroit, I think that those homes seem like their property values are still probably more affordable than Baltimore. But the difference is that Baltimore rent rates are higher. So you can be all in here for $50,000, $55,000, $60,000, but be able to rent the property for $1,100, $1,200. Where I've seen in some other cities, you might buy the house for, $30,000, $40,000, but your rent's like $600 or $700, right? So I think that there's like that going on right now where, the property values are starting to tick up, but the rent rates are still really pretty high. So your ROI, your return on investment, is usually pretty strong here.
Yeah, and I think that's what people don't understand. We had that whole conversation of cash flow versus appreciation. I've been having it every show because I just realized so many people are like, no, I don't understand what you mean. So, I'm going to be careful. I had to grab myself. A lot of times people are like, well, I wouldn't live over there personally, so I wouldn't buy it. And if you're thinking out of honestly, an entitlement and kind of a pure we're kind of like thumbing our nose down at somewhere. People need
Mm-hmm.
places to stay. There's working class people. There's people who, live in the ghetto, quotations. And I think that's the problem. We're seeing investment through our eyes. We want to have a property that we can tell our friends about. We want to have like, look at this house I bought, everybody. When, if you say like right now, I went home for the holidays and my cousin actually married a girl from Detroit. She had been in Detroit in years. She's in the military with them. And I was like, yeah, I bought some rentals in Detroit, y'all. I partnered with Todd and I got one on my side, right? And everybody's like, oh, why you do that? And immediately you're like, you don't know anything other than what you're hearing on the news. You're thinking of it from a perspective of, oh, I wouldn't live there, so it must not be good. And I think, honestly, I'm going to be careful. You're not Todd Milley, so I got to be careful. I think a lot of African Americans are, and people in general, are reactive instead of proactive.
Look at you editing yourself. Go ahead.
They're reactive instead of proactive, right? People sitting in the neighborhood where house has been 20, 30 grand forever. Oh man, I ain't getting that. Ain't nobody buying over here. And then all of a sudden the houses are 50, 60, 70. Oh, it's too expensive. Now I'm getting pushed out. And it's almost a reactive instead of like,
It is, but it's also it's kind of socialized behavior, right? And so I think a lot of times in these neighborhoods, you're told that it's worthless, right? You walk up and down the street, there's vacants. I usually talk about when you think about the Baltimore riots a couple of years ago, and they're saying, the kids were throwing bricks. I'm like, well, where do you think they got them? There were homes in that neighborhood that had fallen down and been sitting there for 20 years. They picked up bricks from houses that have been sitting there for years, right? So I think that sometimes in these neighborhoods, you almost get conditioned to see that it's not valuable, that you're not valuable, that you can't, and that you won't, and that, all of these types of things. And then you watch someone else come in and it feels unfair, right? Why couldn't I? And so I agree to an extent that it does feel reactionary. The whole I blinked and DC changed, like you didn't, right? You were there the whole time it was changing, and then you had to leave. So it's a very it's a deep issue, and I think that's partly why we even started like Charm City Buyers, and I'm sure like why you started the blog and why a lot of us, Kendra and everyone who kind of has these platforms and shares their stories to be able to show and expose people to something different, something new, so that you have that seed. So when you see something change, or, you see an opportunity, you can see yourself in that opportunity. And I think that historically, for one reason or another, we haven't been we haven't been in a position to do that well. And so that's why, even with Next Gen, right? Like, how do we not only share our story and what we've been able to do, but how do we also support people in getting it started in Baltimore as well, with a mentor and accountability partner, and really pulling them through the whole process, right? So it's kind of taking what we've been trying to do with Charm City Buyers is, show what we've been able to accomplish through planting that seed, inspiring and motivating people, and then taking to the next level with Next Gen. How do we actually, pull people through the process and hold their hand and help make sure that other people are successful? So I know you asked earlier, I don't think I answered. One of the things that we're really looking to do in 2019 is we want to be able to support 100 transactions in Baltimore that aren't ours in buying property. Right. So we want to have our hand in making sure that there are 100 new property owners here in Baltimore through Next Gen and through a few other things that we have in the cooker, but really making sure that we're helping to build ownership, whether it's owning your own property or investing in these neighborhoods, so that we can make the change that we really want to see here in the city. For
sure. And I'm a big proponent of like, wealth is responsibility, right? Yeah. Like people see wealth as like, we're partying, we're vacationing. And I'm like, no, wealth is responsibility. And I see these really cheap homes, and I mean, you already know some of my family stories. So my cousin bought up all the houses around his mom because people were like, oh, this neighborhood's not that great anymore. It's teenagers cutting up. And I'll just sell because I'm gonna go across town, pay double on a mortgage, Right. And now he owns all these properties, and now the property value went up on that side of town because the city went up, right? And he also controls who's his mom's neighbors, which is hilarious. But he got these houses for $35,000, and people are like, oh, why would you buy that? Well, now all the houses are worth $90,000, right? And it's with wealth comes responsibility. And like the fact that you guys bought the properties and they did need renovation, and you actually did quality renovations,
right?
That's responsibility, honestly. And even when people live in some of these neighborhoods and they're like, well, Eric, I can't fix anything, I can't do this. Again, that's why I did when I was talking to Tom Millie, I'm like, it's a skill to have, a handyman skill. Like if you know how to fix things, build things, you'll always be paid because there's always a demand.
Absolutely. I'm constantly, I just hired a new maintenance guy on our crew the day before yesterday. So
you got to be watching people like watching you, sir.
Absolutely. I keep a handyman on a Rolodex. But I think to your point, I like that the wealth is responsibility. And I think that a lot of times, let's be honest, right? We grow up in the same neighborhoods that we stick our nose up at. And we don't go back. And I think that that's partly why sometimes these neighborhoods stay the same way. We don't go back and after we leave for college or whatever, right? We grow up and move away and don't return. And if you're not going to return, the least you can do as you build wealth is to invest, right? Invest in those same communities so you have a seat at trying to make sure that you are supporting the folks that you really like where you're from, right? You have to pay homage to where you came from. And I think one of the ways that a lot of people are starting to do that is by investing in the same neighborhoods that they grew up in. If you're, not going to live there, I think living in the same neighborhoods, like going back, I think that's how you really, change something from the inside out. But if you're not going to do that, the least you can do is invest.
The funny thing about what you're saying, I wanted to bring up Felicia Rashad, from the Cosby Show. Mm-hmm. She was saying when she grew up, you could see a prostitute on one end of the street and a doctor on the other end. You knew a spectrum.
It is in some areas.
Yeah, but you knew a spectrum of people existed. You knew there was Black doctors, Black nurses. They were this and that. But the way communities are now, it's so kind of segregated by money that some kids will never see a doctor or never see someone that looks like them doing that. And on the flip side, here's my thing. I'm trying look, yesterday cut over time.
I already see it. Go ahead. Right. We're on your show. Go ahead.
I don't believe a lot of African American people are like, well, people aren't inheriting or leaving wealth to their kids. That's why they're this way. And I dare challenge that. And I say, I think that's bunk because where do majority of these wholesalers and outside companies make this money off of? Abandoned, vacant houses that, you inherited, you don't like it, you don't want to live back over there. And that's money. That's actual cash money, know?
I completely agree. People will reach out to us like, hey, my grandfather died. I got this house and I don't know what to do with it. Do you want it? And the first thing that we do, because, we're like landlords, investors, developers with a conscience, right? So the first thing we'll do is try to coach them on how to keep it. That is your legacy. Somebody put their blood, sweat, and tears in buying in that house, and you are ready to give it away to me for $1. Now, if we can't, coach them through keeping it, we not a nonprofit. We gonna do what we gotta do.
We are a for-profit company over here.
Like, let's be honest. I'm not gonna lie, but that's the very first thing we do because we see that way too often.
All the
time. And that you're right. That's part of the problem. We have to make sure that we're keeping these assets in our family. And then as adults, right, like that grandfather, when he was putting his blood, sweat, and tears, it's our responsibility to make sure that the next generation also understands the value. Like for us, Michaela's going to understand the value of the houses that she will eventually own. And I think sometimes we lose that piece of it for them to understand what the value is and why it matters, so that when it does come time for her to inherit, her empire, really, by the time it's time for her to get it.
I'm so sorry, Michaela, your parents don't live in the 90s.
How to handle it.
Your parents live in the 94. Your mama will be drinking juices, holding on. I'm holding on.
Right. Yeah, she already knew that too.
But the thing of it is it's just that, I hate to say it's that simple. I know it drives people crazy when I say something simple. But again, it is literally, when people are complaining about $30,000 homes, I'm like, they're out here. They're out here, $30,000, $40,000 homes. And even the reason I even brought up inheritance is a lot of people complain about the neighborhoods, but then they'll get a house from their grandma and let it sit empty in that neighborhood. you're
and wonder
adding
why the
to,
neighborhood looks like that.
yeah, you're adding to the neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reason I brought that up is in Alabama, in Atlanta right now, one of the suburbs of Atlanta, they're suing this guy. Well, come to find out, this guy's a white nationalist, and he bought up all the homes in this black neighborhood. And people are mad, but it's like,
so
they were
that's
for
real.
sale. That's for real.
That's real. People in Baltimore will buy these houses at these auctions from the city and will sit on them. And I don't necessarily want to say that they're all white nationalists and they're doing it.
No. This is an actual white nationalist, but I'm like, right, in general.
It's kind of a side story, but it's very common to find out, like when we bought the block, most of them were owned by one person that was just sitting on them. And so what they do is you buy these houses for $5-10 grand, pay cash, let them sit, and then wait for someone else to come into the neighborhood or wait for something to change where the property values start to increase and you just cash out. I get it, right? But we have to be more responsible with what we're doing. And I think that through the stuff that we're working on and doing and what we're working on with a bunch of other people in buying these vacant houses is try to change that narrative and let these communities grow the way they should be growing. No one should have to wake up. Like Chloe always says, like Maslow's laws, right? Housing is very important in the structure of needs. And, growing up next to all these vacant homes, it's not good. It's not good for your psyche. It's not good for your
really
mental.
not.
It's
really
terrible.
Not.
Yeah.
I think I talk about all the time on the channel. We have a distant cousin. She just doesn't really associate the family or any of our businesses. She was renting a house for literally 25, almost 26 years. The man is the man who owned the buildings. He owned a bunch on that street. He's like, you've been a great tenant. You've been here the longest. Like, I want to offer you to buy this house for like 30, and she didn't even call any of us or, like, hey, cousins that are in the same town. Can someone lend me this money because he's offering me this money, this property? Right. She was like, oh, I just don't have it. And he was like, well, go check a bank, go do whatever. He's like, because my son, I'm literally giving all the business over to my son. I don't, he had cancer or whatever. Sorry. And literally within 6 months of him telling her that, her saying no, she was out. His son literally was like, oh, we're non-renewing your leases and like just
you want to renovate, get more money, you want to sell it, whatever it is. Yeah.
He renovated like all the properties down that street. And to this day, like she literally called us to say, could she move into one of our rentals in the country? Because that's all she could afford. And we're like, you've spent your whole life in this one part of town. You raised your kids there. You've been over there. Like you could have called anybody and somebody would have felt sympathy because, oh, you've been in this house that long, girl. Yeah, here's a, stroke out the check.
Right. And there's tons of programs in most cities that would help support that too, whether it's grants or whatever. I know in Baltimore, they will give money away. A lot of times when it's crazy the number of grants and free money out there. Loan programs too, but tons of grants. So a lot of times it's just being willing to educate yourself and ask the question. You can't be afraid of no in this business.
Yeah, listen, you know what's so funny? I done forgot to even tell people at the beginning of the show what the Christmas giveaway was. I done forgot everything I was thinking of. Okay, by the way, the Christmas giveaway today, everybody, again, the way we're doing this contest is you put your city and state after the video renders, not live, after the video renders in the comment section and why you want it. And we're doing the other people's money.
Yes, OPM is king. Other people's money is king. So it's tons, about 6 hours. There's a ton of video and ton of information on how you can leverage other people's money to invest in real estate. So we go through hard money, we go through private lenders, we go through nonprofit lenders and provide resources. We go through the whole shebang. So what's really cool about our journey is that we've kind of built this portfolio of properties, not going through a bank. And so we've kind of done a little bit of everything in regards to how you're able to put a deal together and raise funds in a lot of different ways. And so we go through in OPM is King, a bunch of different options and things to think about and contracts and all of that on how you can leverage other people's money to invest in property.
And so usually what's its full price usually?
Yeah, so usually full price, I think it's $497
Y'all see that? Erica is breaking bank over here for Christmas, okay? It's usually $4.97.
It's usually $4.97, so we're gonna give it away here.
Oh, no worries. Look, Don Bryan said he tried to super chat, but it's not available over here. Listen, y'all super chat $1 to help Dom out, yo. Let me see. Oh gosh. Oh goodness, there's so many that I want to pull from.
No, go for it. I have time.
Khalil watches like, no, you don't. No, get back to work. No.
Probably. I'm sure he'll jump back in the comments.
This person said gentrification is good or bad depending on who's doing it. Now, here's my thoughts on gentrification. When you own in a neighborhood, you're grateful the neighborhood is getting renovated. You're glad it's improving. Now you can take equity out your home. You can do whatever you need to do. But if you're renting, which sadly that's a lot of people's position, they're renting, all you know is the rents are going up, right? You see all these videos about Brooklyn where people be like, oh my God, there's this corner store that has sandwiches, and people be like, stay out of the bodega, right? They do all these videos about stay out of the bodega, which is funny.
Yeah, it is. And I think, honestly, the people who rent in the neighborhood, as long as you're bringing services and not just raising property values, they can be happy too, right? Yeah. There's neighborhoods that food deserts, or they don't have access to laundry facilities, all those types of things. Gentrification will a lot of times bring services with it that people can benefit from. It's just managing and balancing out that with the rents increasing and the property values increasing and the taxes going up. So it's kind of this double-edged sword.
Man, there's 160 y'all in here skipping out on work. I see y'all. Hit that like button or drop $1 in the super chat, because y'all out here just chilling on your lunch break. Listen to this. Bring your questions in here. Ben the bartender said, please tell them Cleveland is cheap for rent, even cheaper to buy. Man, cousin Nita, she be buying.
Yeah.
Ben the bartender said everybody needs a place to stay.
Yeah.
Ben the bartender's about Christmas giveaway a house. No.
You tried it.
You tried it. I can give you a corner lot. No. If we invest in neighborhoods, we could be proud of them. We have a neighbor called Mr. Quick. It's a terrible last name, but he's a military dude called Mr. Quick. He owns 8 houses in the neighborhood. And even when they're vacant, what he does? He goes over and cuts the grass, cuts the bushes, like personally kind of gives it that manicured look of someone caring about it. And it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. Let me see. Somebody said cold places are cheap. Cold places are not cheap. The South is cheap too now. Thank you, Garcia Simpson, $5 super chat. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Yeah. Let me see. Oh goodness. Oh, thank you, Mentor Shelley, for the $5 super chat. She said, what would be the best way to obtain your first rental property when you have almost no capital? Hard money, your thoughts?
So rentals, it depends. It depends on what the level of renovations required. So hard money will give you short-term funding that you can use to renovate the property, but you're going to have to refinance out of that because it's short-term capital. So there are some lending folks that will lend to renters. We give access to them through NextGen, but you can take a loan, get money to renovate, and then have that turn into a longer term product, right? So I'm trying not to talk too technical. So basically, when you have a rental, you need a loan or money that's going to last you for a longer period of time, because renting and being a landlord is a long-term strategy. Hard money is short-term. So most of the time, folks are going to use hard money to do flips or something that they can get in and out of, or can refinance out of quickly if they're going to try to hold the property long-term. So if you don't have money and maybe don't have the best credit because you haven't worked with Erica yet to clean it up, then you should probably think about tapping into your network and seeing if you can work with private lenders, or maybe join an investment club like Tide Capital, where you can work with a bunch of different people to invest in a property together. But there's a lot of different ways that you can raise money, and that's what OPM is King is all about. So you should try to win that free class.
Listen, man, look. We were saying teamwork and collaboration is the big theme of 2019. And I think that's true. I think we come into the game and other people are already teamed up.
Yeah.
Say what you with Charles, but we'll come somewhere and people have already. So even in the apartment investing group in Dallas, I was talking to people about. I literally, oh my God, I was literally in there, and there was an African group. They were Nigerians. I already knew they were Nigerian, and some Koreans got together and bought an apartment complex. And the funny thing is, there were a lot of lone white guys, right? And I'd be talking to him like, "Hey, what's up?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm just a plumber who owns 10 rentals in Dallas, and I'm trying to figure out how to get in," right? And I'm like, "Well, pat yourself on the back because you own 10 rentals, even if you're just by yourself, right?"
Yeah.
But that's the that teamwork mentality is the name of the game, and people really don't understand.
Absolutely. It's no more competition. I don't think, and I think it's so dope that so many people are off that. It's collaboration, not competition.
Right. Dan the mentor, if no down payment, invest in stocks until then. Dan the mentor, you have to find a way to save up money. Like on this show, I'm always talking about saving $27 a day for a year, get you 10 grand. Right. And a lot of people will, if they really cut back and look at their budget, some people can get that money in 3 months. I mean, it's all the name of the game is focus, right?
And a lot of times it's not that you have a saving issue. A lot of times you have an earning issue, right? You have to make sure that you are positioning yourself. Money is not this elusive thing. There's tons of it out there. First of all, you need to fix your relationship with money because, make sure you're putting yourself in a position for it to come to you. But yeah, a lot of times you're having an earning issue more so than a savings issue. You got to figure out what that's all about. And you got a book, right? They should probably check it out.
I have several things. I probably have 100 videos on like making more money, like weekend hustles, any of these things, because this is the thing that drives me like cray. I'm going to say this is people will be like, Erica, you don't understand. I have student loans. I go, what kind of student loans do you have? I have like 20 grand in student loans because you work in financial aid office. And I go, you've been out of school 10 years? Yeah. So what you're telling me is you haven't been paying $150 a month for the past 10 years. You just keep deferring it. You could have worked a part-time job first year and paid this off in 2 years and been done with this. Right. And it's just that thinking. It's like money's everywhere. It's up to you.
Absolutely. There's so many in this year, it's 2018, it's about to be 2019. There's so many ways to make money. And not only that, it's a matter of prioritizing what you want, right? So you can leverage the internet and leverage all of these things to learn how you can make more money. And because I don't even want to say but it's you prioritize your needs and what your goals are and what you're willing to do to accomplish it. So if I want to pay off my student loan that costs $150 a month, maybe I can eat out a few times less a month. Right. That's 4 or 5 meals a month. Right. So it's prioritizing and really spending your time to achieve your goals. Don't just write them down and think about them. Right. You have to take action towards them as well.
I see people Glenn the camera be making fun of him, but he'd be like, how do you think you deserve a weekend off? Like, I'm not that hardcore. Like, take your weekends if you need them, but really do a examination of your schedule, right? Because here's the thing. I have some friends, and out of our group of friends, she's a teacher. She didn't make money, but she somehow 90 days till it's time to go to the trip Miami, 90 days till it's time to go on a cruise. Homegirl all of a sudden is working a part-time job. She's doing Uber and Lyft. You're like, but you could do that
all year round.
Do you know what I'm saying? And not just for a trip, not just for a vacation. Right. So it's a mindset. Where's this other one? Oh, Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, and Fred Trump started their property businesses in affordable housing and low-income housing. That's where fortunes are built. The funny thing about Donald Trump's dad is, like, I remember someone describing his dad. He was like, they were getting millions of dollars in affordable housing. Now, some people on this channel know our family does not do Section 8 for various reasons. It's not in our concept. There's a lot of military people in military town. But what are your thoughts on Section 8? In like the process
on those programs. Here in Baltimore, there's a lot of programs in addition to Section 8. So there's a lot of different options. There's a lot of organizations that are subsidizing people's rent. I think that you should screen your tenants the same way and regardless, right? And if you're screening your tenants well, it doesn't matter if they're on Section 8 or not. because a lot of times I think that the stigma around Section 8 is, who the tenants are. I'm not one to paint everyone with a broad brush, but I am one to screen the hell out of my tenants. So I will do that for everyone, whether they're Section 8 or not. But no, I'm not against Section 8. I have friends who only rent a Section 8 and do extremely well. Like I said, there's tons of different programs. They're paying premiums. And now a lot of these other programs, maybe not Section 8 specifically, but some of the other programs here in Baltimore, they have caseworkers and folks who are like inspecting the house and coaching the tenant and helping them getting jobs. And they're checking in with them monthly. Like they are so involved that it's a no-brainer. And with the new laws here in Baltimore around needing to get your property inspected by the city, there's really no reason not to rent to someone in a program and go through that inspection process with them, because you got to do it anyway. So it's a great way to stabilize your income and all of that. I will say a vast majority of our tenants and the properties that we manage are all market rate or cash tenants. So we don't do a ton with programs, but I think that that's going to change in 2019 and beyond now that the Baltimore City laws have changed.
Got you. And the only reason I say that is our family used to own group homes. And so we converted some of the group homes into rentals after the group home program in North Carolina changed. So it's just several reasons why that happened. But
no, I don't knock it.
I mean, I just think it's just, different reasons. Grant Cardone got in trouble for saying something about it. And I was like, oh, no, don't do that, Grant. No,
everyone invests differently. Like your approach is going to be different as long as it's not malicious. Now they just changed a law here, or they're trying to push one where you can't deny Section 8, or you can't deny people in these programs into your homes. And I'm like, well, first of all, that is discrimination. But if you are, if you're screening everyone the same way and they don't qualify, then they don't qualify. But, I don't know.
I feel you. Uriah said they're paying $1,800 in LA for Section 8 in the hood. And the funny thing is I have a couple clients in LA who are like, that's what they do. They only take Section 8. So he said it takes a really determined person to work two jobs. Not all people are willing to do that. Look, here's my thoughts on this channel as we go. Classy Climb, you're either going to track your income and manage that funds you have, or you're going to increase your income. So that either means you need to get out. Number one, fastest way to increase your income, higher paying job, skills, higher paid job, right? That's just, we won't go in the rabbit hole. Dan the Mentor, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Lower risk investing in low and mid income housing. For sure. Like right now, if somebody was saying, well, Erica, I'm looking for a deal. And I'm like, well, what's your price? What's your criteria? 30, 40 grand. Okay, well, you can go on MLS and find that. I think what people, I'm being careful. I think people are like, they want a deal. They want to like get a house, no money down kind of stuff. And when they say that.
Yeah, don't pay too much into the fly by night radio ads telling you don't need money, you don't need this, you don't need the other thing, unless they're really going to hold your hand through the process, which are not. Don't pay them 30 grand to do that. But yeah, I think a lot of people have just unrealistic expectations sometimes.
Ty Capital said, I think it's dope that both sides of CCB, I didn't even think about that, Charm City buyers, CCB, can hop on a show and hold their own. Yeah, because they're awesome. Like, oh my God, Becca. Okay, so what is your website where they can find you guys? Like, give out your social media handles. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So our website is charmcitybuyers.com. We are also Charm City Buyers on Instagram, Charm City Buyers on Twitter, where I typically act a fool. So I'm sure Todd Millie will co-sign that. And Charm City Buyers on Facebook.
So I know y'all did a live. I apologize. That's wrong. I know y'all did a live meetup a little bit ago. Is that your plan in 2019? More live meetups or no?
Yeah, actually. So we're going to do them quarterly. So the next one is scheduled for March 9th, right after our Next Gen program wraps up. And then we'll do 4 live meetups next year. So yeah, the next one's already planned for March 9th.
March, come on, girl. That's my birthday. You just
Well, you know, we got that covered. You already know.
So yeah, I'll be in Mardi Gras that week anyway. But after that, girl, you already know.
You already know. I'll be in New Orleans twice next year. That's one thing for 2019 for my
I'll be in it
30th.
5 times.
Are you going 5 times?
I'm driving this week to look at a condo.
So yeah, we did talk about that. I'm really excited. Chloe and I will always say, like, we punted our 20s, right? Like, we spent all of our 20s hustling and working and parenting and building a portfolio and blah, blah, blah. I turn 30 next year. Like, I'm about to have a little bit of fun, whistle while I work. So I already have 5 trips planned, because I think I might be having like one of those, oh shit, I'm turning 30 moments. But yeah, we're gonna be hustling and getting stuff done. But I have quite a few trips planned, so it'll be fun.
Thank you so much, Apple Mac, for putting their Instagram handle in there for me. Thank you, mods. Jason Pickney said, what could you get for a 2-bedroom on Section 8 in Baltimore? Like, what would be the price?
2-bed. I actually have someone who in Baltimore, a 2-bedroom condo. Now it's really, really nice, completely updated. But that program is paying $1,605 for that 2-bedroom. Now, I won't say that that's what they're paying everywhere. But that 2-bedroom condo is, I have it rented for $1,605 to someone in a program.
Is the standard like 3-bedroom?
It's 2. It's a 2-bedroom condo.
Well, no, I'm saying is the standard most people try to get on the program.
It depends in Baltimore, because the houses are really small. So you see a lot of 2 beds. There's 3 beds too. I think more average in the city for 2 bedrooms is probably closer to like 1,000. Probably closer to like 1,000. And then when you get to 3 beds, you're probably getting closer to like 1,200-1,300.
Okay, that sounds right
for those programs.
Andre Hatchett put $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Andre. He put Trill the Glow. Hawati 81. I'm sorry, I can't say your name right. Gave $2 super chat. She asked, "How do I find people to invest with in my area?"
I think you have to network, right? So real estate is a very much relationship building. Yeah, it's all about relationships. So you need to put yourself in a position where you're interacting with other people in real estate. So whether that is different meetups, if that's RIA meetings, if that is joining Facebook groups, if that means, you just have to plug yourself in to be around people that are about real estate, and the networks and opportunities will follow.
Facts on facts on facts. Thank you, Trucker May, for the $2 super chat. Solid Steps to Wealth said, 2 of my favorite sisters dropping nothing but gems. We need all 5 of y'all at the same time. Kyara, Kendra, Cousin Nita, Asia. Oh, you're talking about Asia Sutton in Philly? I wish I could get her on.
Me and Asia, it's so funny.
I told her I'm coming up there to see her, and she needed to take me to a Philly cheesesteak. And she's like, "Is it going to be vegan? Because I'm vegan." I'm like, I ain't asked all that. I said I want a Philly cheesesteak. Like, that's your problem.
Philly, get you a cheesesteak. But me and Asia was so funny. Her and I'll be in her DMs. Like, we'll be messaging each other, because she'll get a bunch of tear down properties like we do. And so we can really vibe on that, and managing multiple projects at a time, and, being a landlord on a ton of properties. So I enjoy her. And Philly's kind of, I'm in Philly all the time. So
she cracks me up, because she be like,
hilarious.
Her interviews be off the chain. But long story short, there's, when it gets warmer, because, y'all thumbnail, when y'all see the thumbnail for she's shining because it's summertime and it's warm. But right now it's too cold for me to visit Baltimore. It's too cold, baby. I'm sorry. Now, I will say I'm supposed to be, January 25th, I'm supposed to be in Nashville. I may hop a flight over. I may. But I'm thinking I'm gonna go to Miami for that Grant Cardone thing.
We talked about that with Nita. I don't know. I'll have to see if she ever got it or not.
If they email me back with some cheap tickets, I may buy some and do a giveaway. But y'all not gonna sit with me. Y'all be sitting in the nosebleed, and I'm be down on the floor. So I just want y'all to know that. I ain't gonna lie to you. All right. Jason said, "Thanks so much." Yeah, thank you guys. Thank New Orleans. Yes, all these people, all of y'all. Listen. Again, the giveaway is her course. That's $497. Y'all, $497. Other people's money, hard money, special money, creative financing, doing it without the banks. You dig. What else? Who else in here? Ooh, y'all got a lot of comments. But Garcia earlier said, please talk technical. Garcia, that's a whole other show. We'll do more technical
We could
talk.
do that. Yeah, I don't want to get,
in the weeds. But
yeah.
look, you guys, she got to get her snacks ready for her daughter later to pick her up from school. So.
You know I'm hungry. I stay hungry.
Somebody, Derek Bailey, this will be our last question and we'll kind of wrap it up. Derek Bailey said, does Kyara and her husband manage all their properties themselves?
Yeah, so we manage internally. So we manage all of our properties. Now we have a staff now because we've grown quite a bit, right? So
they're chained to a desk.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, but yeah, we self-manage. We tried to use a property manager when we first started, kept being very unhappy with that service and how that was going. And so we managed ourselves. And so we just continue to do that since we've had 4 units. We've been managing ourselves all the way up.
So what apps do y'all use? Do you use Yardi to do your screening?
No, we actually use Buildium. So we use Buildium for our property management. So that's tenant screening. We use it for our rent collection, managing maintenance requests, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, we use Buildium.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I know I said that was gonna be the last question.
No, it's okay. Keep going.
Somebody said in Baltimore, is it better to have a multifamily or single family?
So so I'm a big on multis, right? We start with multis. I think multis is a great way to scale. But with that being said, here in Baltimore, a lot of times the multi opportunities need a ton of work. A lot of times they're vacant. And so there aren't a bunch of turnkey multis. There's not a huge inventory of multis. So it's kind of a push and pull. If you're willing to do a significant amount of work, then you can go into Forest Park or a neighborhood like that and grab a multi, do a big reno and, hold on to it and do very well. But 9 times out of 10, folks are going to buy singles because that's what's more available and easier to renovate and find something turnkey.
Man, thanks all the moderators, Apple Mac and Andre Hatchett, dropping Charm City Buyers Instagram, Facebook, and their websites. You guys are on it. I didn't even send it to y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank Everett Walker for the $5 super chat. Appreciate the knowledge and content you drop consistently. Thank you. The last 2, and we'll kind of wrap it up. Is Baltimore anticipating a ripple effect in prices due to Amazon?
So Amazon actually has 2 warehouses here already and have had them for a while. So we've kind of seen some of that for the last few years. I know Amazon's going down in Northern Virginia now. So I think what's going to happen is we probably will see folks coming to Baltimore because it's more affordable and then taking the train down there to work. So, but Amazon, honestly, I'll be completely honest, I don't think that is the biggest push for Baltimore right now. With them coming
what's the biggest push? What's the biggest push you see?
I think that
without giving the secrets away. No,
I know. You see me now. I'm editing myself.
A little like what?
So there's a ton of money. There's a ton of money here, and there's a lot of incentives. The city is being very supportive to development, and I think as they continue to provide cash, there's going to continue to be development and growth in the city, and not only to developers and kind of the big guys, but also incentivizing first-time home buyers and all those types of things. I think it's going to help build and stabilize the market, even as there are changes in the market nationwide from a real estate perspective. I think a lot of the incentives and money and dollars that the city is providing to first-time home buyers and developers is going to keep Baltimore a little bit more stable than you may see other states and other cities.
Gotcha. So long story short, I'm going to probably do 2 panels. One panel is going to be talking about war zones. And then another panel is going to be about what to do if there's a recession in real estate, which I have a lot of ideas on. But, you're welcome. You as the couple or dual or individual screens, however y'all want to do. Right. Also, somebody asked us the last question. I promise. No more. I promise. Is Baltimore landlord friendly?
So Baltimore is known to be tenant friendly. There's been some things lately to help support that. But if you understand, just like anywhere, I think, if you understand the rules and you understand the laws, you'll be fine, right? It's the people who come in and don't understand Baltimore that get more jammed up. So educate and then activate.
Educate yourself. Powerpuff. It's not.
Right.
So many kid shows. Care Bears. Okay, listen, thank you for coming on. Thank you for spending time with your big lunch. Like, go eat lunch, go treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Everybody saying thank you, Queen. Hey, Queen. Hey. Some people say Queen, I think they're from New York. I'll be like, you're from New York. Seems like something men say in New York to get you like, hey, Queen.
If there's anything somebody could call me, I think that's probably a good one on the list.
Okay, so anyway, thank you so much. Listen, you guys, you already know to get in the contest, after this video renders, this is a $500 course. I am giving y'all Santa Erica, with your city and your state, and you drop, why would you like the course? But the course is other people's money. The links, we're going to have the links to everywhere you can catch them, their website, their social, and you can even see the course yourself on their website in the description, and I'll have it as the first comment. So again, give me about 48 to 72 hours. Don't rush me. This is Christmas time, and I'll pick from the comments section. But again, this is Erica Williams from the Classy Climb blog, author of Smartphone Millionaire, How to Invest in Real Estate, Businesses, and People from the Palm of Your Hand. Kyara, tell the audience bye and where they can find you.
Yes, check us out, Charm City Buyers, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and charmcitybuyers.com. Feel free. We open up our DMs. You can go ahead and slide in there if you have questions. Don't hit me with no craziness and no foolishness. I ain't got time. My husband has that Instagram as well. Don't try it. But definitely reach out. We're all about Baltimore, and we're all about you investing in yourself and your future.
All right, you guys, don't be playing. Don't send them 27 emails or 27 paragraphs. I will know who you are. Yes, it's Charm City. Yeah, like Charm City. Yeah.
Yes.
Charm City. So the links are all in the comments, you guys. So thank you so much, girl. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.